Let's move to our political panel. It's a couple of News Nation political contributors joining us, and Lauren Wright and Kurt Bardella. Welcome to you both. Do you want to start us off on this affordability discussion, Lauren? I think there's significance, definitely politically, in the president rolling back some of these tariffs, exemptions.
Yeah.
You know, given that how important that policy is to him, we know that he said as much, and now seems to be. I don't know, do you see it as kind of tacit admission that, hey, listen, this is adding to things. This is making the country less affordable. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, of course it is. And it's very hard to follow from a policy standpoint because Trump campaigned very hard on tariffs. But his intention was, yes, he thought this would bring so much revenue into the U.S. that it would cancel out any costs, and he would have such a pro-growth administration that people would experience a better economy and come into the fold and come onto his side. Now he's rolling them back, and that is an admission that tariffs do increase prices, which Republicans, like the congressman you just had on, have said for many years. But he's also trying to use these as tools to bring other countries into the fold and get what he wants from them, whether it's international cooperation over national security issues, immigration issues. But those are just not going to resonate with Americans. Neither is lowering the debt if prices are still high. And so he's realized that. He's reversing course, it seems, and that is the right action.
And it's part of this kind of wider narrative, Kurt, where he is taking, I mentioned it to Congressman Bacon, the incoming from many. Congressman Bacon's never been shy, as he said, and this is true, of criticizing the president on a particular issue. But some other Republicans have, and now you see much less of that. I know the Marjorie Taylor Greene stuff's getting a lot of attention, but the Washington Post had a piece that's headlined, Trump is facing heat from the MAGA base on his America First agenda, and the Epstein story. So you add that, and already economic conservatives are all over him on the tariffs. So what do you make of it all?
I mean, here's the bottom line. Donald Trump is no longer an asset to Republicans who are in office. He cannot help them stay in power.
That's what I was saying about the lame duck. So that's the lame duck argument. So you see that he's being treated as one.
Members of Congress, politicians are all about self-interest. They're all about preserving their power and staying in office and doing whatever it takes to do so. Donald Trump was a convenient ally to that means when he was at the peak of his power. Now he's on the downside of that, and now they're going to look for an off-ramp, an exit ramp to try to be self-preservation, if you will, is really the mantra of these politicians because they're cowards. And now they're finding out, oh, the promises that were made, we will fix everything on day one. We will fix the Biden economy that went wrong. We will do all these grandiose big things. It turns out they were all full of it. It's not working. It's backfiring. It's hurting the American people. It's costing them more money. They're asking to do more with less. And guess what? Turns out that's a horrible electoral strategy, as we found out last Tuesday.
Now, the Democrats with their leadership, especially in the Senate, you know, it's not like it's all hunky-dory there and everybody's getting along. I wanted to talk about the Chuck Schumer story a little bit with both of you. We had Amy Parnes last hour from The Hill talking about her most recent article, which was, you know, about AOC maybe challenging Chuck Schumer. It'd be quite a race here in New York. All right, Lauren, we'll get to it in a moment. Here's Amy and what she said.
But I think this is someone who is considering not only a Senate run, but a presidential run. She knows that a lot of Democrats are backing her, that, you know, she supported Mamdani for New York mayor. And she kind of she is where the energy is in the party right now. And so she's not taking that lightly.
Were you shaking your head, Lauren, because you think she's more likely to run for president or for some other reason? There could be a lot of reasons.
No, I'm not shaking my head at any of Amy's reporting. I'm totally on board with her.
No, I know that.
I'm just shaking my head, and this might be a Freaky Friday type thing, but I'm going to defend Chuck Schumer here and just say Democrats are making such a mistake by getting rid of the moderates in their party, the institutional knowledge in their party. And if the criticism of Chuck Schumer is there, it shouldn't be that, you know, people are saying he totally reversed course and he dropped down. He didn't hold out on the shutdown. He didn't want the shutdown to begin with. And then the mistake he made was kowtowing to this wild progressive wing of his party that doesn't know how to get things done. You know, they're getting these old guard moderates out, and they're gonna regret it because these people have a lot of value. And I think that would be a big mistake.
You agree, Kurt?
She said the magic word, my friend, old. That's the problem. It's not about right or left or progressive.
Old people are good sometimes to have, though, Kurt. They are.
Depends how old.
I think they're great for story time and with
Oh,
ramping
my
up the
goodness.
holidays. I think they make for terrible
Story
leaders in
time.
the world that we live in today.
You want Chuck Schumer to read you a story? That I don't know, Kurt.
I'd much rather him read me a story than actually lead the United States Senate in any way, to be quite honest with you, Connell.
Is that
He knows
really?
how
So you
it
think?
works.
But you'd rather have AOC?
Exactly.
Not
exactly.
as a leader,
he knows
but you'd
how it
rather
works.
have.
And as we have seen from
Right.
election cycle after election cycle, people are tired of this is how it works because it's not working. It's broken. They actually haven't passed a budget in like 2 decades on time. The fundamental job of Congress, as written by the Constitution, is to fund the government. And they can't successfully do it year after year after year because that's how it works. People are just done with it on both sides, on both parties. And frankly, as a Democrat, let me just say, I'd rather AOC run for Senate than for president. At least do something you can
Bad
win.
for New Yorkers,
Senator
but she'd
AOC.
win. I think she'd win. Yep.
You think? But do you agree with that, Kurt? You think she can win?
No, she'd win in this. She'd win the Senate. She would absolutely win a primary against Chuck Schumer, or if Schumer didn't run for an open seat in the Senate. So take the win. Learn from the mistakes of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris went too big. She lost. Should have ran for governor of California. Could have won that. AOC, don't run for president right now. Democrats have nominated women 2 cycles in a row. They've lost every time they've done that. Why would you do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result? That's called insanity.
Wow. You want to respond to that, Lauren? Says no more women. Kurt, it's out there. No more women running for president, says Kurt Bardella. Is that how it's
I don't think it would be good for New York to have AOC as a senators. I think it would be a gift wrapped in a beautiful bow for Republicans, and they would campaign on that just like they've campaigned on Mamdani. But she's absolutely a political talent, and yes, I do think she would win in a primary. I do.
Now, but you want to make that point, Lauren, make it here, and then Kurt can respond, about the moderates in the party. So let's put age aside for a second and talk about that debate a little bit. So you think the Democrats are, it's shaky ground here in terms of building for 26 and 28?
Yes, because the bottom line is, and I know this is not a popular point of view, but if you want to deliver services to your constituents, if you want to check who's in power in the Oval Office, and you want to negotiate on bipartisan lines, yes, you do need to know how the rules work, and you do need to know the institution,
right,
and you need to know how to compromise. And the wild left of the Progressive Party, just like all these young, crazy Republicans getting elected, I'm sure Kurt would agree with me on that, they don't know the chamber, they don't know how it works, and they will be unsuccessful at running the place while also giving the opposite side of the aisle a lot of campaign fodder for free.
Right. All right, so that's the last point. You make your point on that, on Kurt, in terms of, again, forget about age, just on that point about moderates.
I think that Democrats actually have more moderates than they get credit for. Because I look at people like, the Governor Andy Beshear in Kentucky, who has won statewide in a red state. I look at Wes Moore, who flipped a red state and made it a blue state. I look at what just happened in Virginia. I look at what's happened in Michigan. I look at what's happened in New Jersey. Those are all moderate Republicans that are running and winning. Mamdani has been anointed by the Republicans as the face of the party, but just because the Republicans say so doesn't mean that's actually true.
Not the real face. All right, Kurt Bardella, Lauren Wright, lively discussion, big issues on a Friday. Thank you both. Still ahead.